Well, hello everyone. It's Don Walker, the meandering grandpa again, and today coming to you from my very comfortable little apartment in Oaxaca, Mexico. And I would like to do some reminiscing about a trip I took to India in 2018. So what's that, 7 years ago or thereabouts? Anyway, from the comfort of Oaxaca, I'm going to bring you an old trip that I took a while back. I hope you enjoy it.
Throughout human history, cultures have grappled with the question of what life is ultimately for. Is our purpose to accumulate more possessions, to succeed at a career, to fit in with our community, or is there something more, something deeper, waiting just beyond the edges of everyday life? In many Western societies, the path is laid out early: childhood faith, adult ambition, and finally a retirement centered on comfort or nostalgia. But in other parts of the world, particularly in South Asia, a different model has endured for thousands of years. In Eastern tradition, life unfolds in stages. You begin as a student, then become a householder with responsibilities. But later in life, after the children are raised and the duties complete, a remarkable transformation becomes possible. It's not uncommon, especially in India, for older people to give away all their possessions, leave their homes, and set off as pilgrims or seekers. This isn't seen as an escape, it's a culmination. A final chapter, not of decay, but of awakening. Spiritual seeking is not just permitted in these cultures, it is honored, it's expected and encouraged. The wisdom of age is paired with the freedom to seek inward, to ask unanswerable questions, and to seek what some call enlightenment, and others simply call peace. Today, we will follow Don Walker, the meandering grandpa, as he journeys through sacred sites in South India. From the holy mountain of Arunachala in Tiruvannamalai, to a forest ashram in the tradition of Sivananda, and finally to the colonial echoes and experimental spirit of Pondicherry. This is not a travelogue, it's something else. It's a kind of homecoming for a traveler with no fixed address and a heart tuned to deeper questions.
The year was 2018. I'd never been to India before. I didn't know anyone. I wasn't part of a tour. It was just me and 2 small suitcases, plus a long-standing desire to visit this huge and mysterious country. I had no idea what to expect. My first stop was the medium-sized town of Tiruvannamalai in southern India. Tiruvannamalai is more than 2,000 years old, and it's the final resting place of the renowned teacher Ramana Maharshi. I had read quite a bit about Ramana Maharshi, so I was eager to visit his ashram in Tiruvannamalai. And I believe, as it turned out, coming to Tiruvannamalai first was the perfect way to become acquainted with India. And wow, everything here was new to me. The sights, the sounds, the crowds. It was a pretty amazing experience. Took a while to get used to it, if I ever did. I don't think I really did get used to it, so to speak. But it was amazing just being there. My hotel was only 1 block away from one of the largest temples to Shiva in all of the country. In addition to visiting Ramana's ashram, I also spent quite a bit of time in the temples. One interesting ritual that I had to perform while I was in Tiruvannamalai, doing a circumambulation of the mountain Arunachala, was to crawl through on my belly a tiny little roadside shrine. These narrow little shrines are called eduku piliars. Crawling through them is a way to show your humility, and it also indicates rebirth when you crawl out of it. And yes, it's entirely possible to get stuck in the darn things. Fortunately, I was able to crawl through the maze okay, and I made it out. And I was quite glad. The larger temples do have elephants, and I got to watch this beautiful creature walk through the temple every morning. Yes, Tiruvannamalai is certainly a beautiful example of an Indian city, an ancient Indian city. People come here from all over the world to visit Ramana Maharshi's ashram and to visit the mountain Arunachala. While I did have a room at the ashram itself, most of the time I elected to stay at a small hotel close by. My reason being I wanted to be on my own pretty much, and it was easier to do that if I wasn't always on the ashram grounds. The ashram is a beautiful, peaceful place. I spent a number of days wandering the grounds in silence and sitting in meditation while I was here. And oh yeah, if you like monkeys, you've come to the right spot. Finally, one day I walked the path up the mountain to Ramana's cave, where he had lived for 7 years. This was far above the city, as you can see below. I was able to sit in his cave and be by myself in silence for quite a while. And the cave is now a national monument maintained by the Indian government. This was without a doubt the highlight of this part of my trip. Yes, starting at the home of Ramana Maharshi turned out to be the perfect way to begin my exploration of India. I loved it there. And then next, I went on to the much larger city of Madurai, India, which is also in southern India. Unlike Tiruvannamalai, Madurai is a larger city and much more modern. It even has shopping malls, believe it or not. I spent a few days in Madurai pampering myself, staying in nice places, eating in nice restaurants, and seeing a little bit of the city. This included visiting the Gandhi Museum with a very nice young guide named Krishna. Anticipating a bit of austerity at the yoga ashram, I did stay in some very fancy places. Then, once I arrived at the Sivananda Yoga Ashram at Meenakshi, it was time to take up the duties of a sadhu again. And that means doing some exercise and yoga and basically living a pretty disciplined and austere life, for a little while anyway. The accommodations were basic, but quite comfortable. I even had my own bathroom. And then, of course, the Sivananda grounds themselves were quite beautiful. The daily regimen at Meenakshi consisted of 2 morning sessions, one each of 90 minutes, hatha yoga, that's physical yoga, and 90 minutes of meditation. And the evening was the same thing, 90 minutes of yoga and 90 minutes of meditation. And we got 2 great vegan meals every day, which we ate with our fingers while sitting on the floor. It was a lot of work, actually. We got good exercise, and we had something to do all the time. We were up at 5 a.m. every morning for a nice walk together in the jungle in silence. But if we wanted to, we could sometimes play on the vines and basically just enjoy the sounds of the birds and the early morning air. There were literally yogis swinging from the trees in the jungle in the morning. It was a very international collection of people, and I made some good friends while I was there. In the afternoons, we did karma yoga for an hour or two, and my particular job was to keep the temple floors clean, which mostly meant sweeping up the monkey poop. And by the way, the Sivananda Vedanta organization is one of the larger yoga groups in the world, with more than 40 ashrams worldwide. You can easily look them up online if you wish to. The evening meditation period included some Sanskrit chanting together as a group. And there was a Swami who gave daily talks on yoga philosophy. But alas, all of this was not going to last because something happened. The next part of this journey took an odd turn because I'd only spent a little over a week at the ashram in Meenakshi, the Sivananda ashram, when my shoulder gave out. Not due to the yoga, really. It was arthritis. It was a bad condition that I had to begin with. So I could no longer do yoga, at least not to my satisfaction. And that said, I decided to take off and try something different. So then I looked on a map and I noticed a small town called Pondicherry, or Puducherry as it's known today, that sat on the South Bengal Sea. And the next day, I took an overnight bus from the ashram to the ocean. I stayed at a delightfully cute little hotel called the French Villa, which was run by two recent college graduates who were friends and who had bought the place. I think it was their first business venture. They were really nice young guys and a lot of fun to hang out with. There was a tiny little dining area. The place was minimal, but it did have air conditioning, which was important since it's very hot there on the coast. In the mornings, they'd bring me a pot of coffee, and I would enjoy a baguette of French bread from one of the local bakeries. During the hottest parts of the day, I would stay inside and play on my computer or take naps. In the early mornings or in the late afternoons and early evenings, it was comfortable enough to go outside and walk around. Because this town had once been a French colony, the architecture sort of reminded me of New Orleans, or at least some French quarter, perhaps in the United States or in France, for that matter. Except that it did strike me as odd that there were goats meandering around here and there. I never did figure that out. But the restaurants around the city were excellent, much more European than the places where I had been before. And oh yes, the French influence was certainly still obvious here. There were French pastry shops and French restaurants that were just delightful. It was a far cry from sitting on the ground and eating garbanzo beans with my fingers. And every day there were fresh baguettes and fresh pastries. And there was incredible fresh French coffee. Pondicherry was certainly a departure from the more traditional Indian towns that I'd been staying in previous to this. At night, I would walk around town and look for new restaurants to try out. One evening, I even ended up with a group of young Indian engineers who invited me over to their table to sit and sip tequila with them. That was a lot of fun. Of course, the ocean is beautiful everywhere, and the South Bengal Sea is no exception. Unfortunately, however, you can't really swim here because there's too much of an undertow, and it's dangerous to do anything more than just go wading along the edge. Also, fishing is a major industry here along the coast of Pondicherry, and there are little fishermen's villages and shacks lining the coast. And then, in a somewhat surprising turn of events, I found out that there was a community called Auroville located within the city of Pondicherry. And this is a place I'd heard of before many years ago, but I didn't expect to find, but I was interested in it. It's an experimental community that's been going now for, gosh, I think 50 years or thereabouts. At any rate, I went and visited it. Sadly, it was in the last few days of my stay in Pondicherry, so I didn't get very many pictures, and I can't tell you a whole lot about it other than it was interesting. So here, check this out a little bit. The community known as Auroville was founded in honor of an Indian teacher and philosopher by the name of Sri Aurobindo. I had known about Sri Aurobindo for a number of years, but I certainly hadn't planned upon stumbling into his community. So discovering that Auroville was so close to Pondicherry came as a complete surprise. I was only able to walk around the exterior of the community because I hadn't known that I needed to make a private appointment before visiting. But what I did see was absolutely beautiful and very serene. I think what impressed me most was the giant meditation dome, which is basically the centerpiece of this community. It's a huge structure, and it's used for meditation. All the visitors are fascinated by it, and if you make reservations ahead of time, which unfortunately I didn't, you can even go sit inside. But that's the way it goes sometimes. So if you would like to find out more, you can Google it or go to Pondicherry and visit yourself. In the meantime, that's about it. I've got to go now, and I hope you've had fun on this visit to India. Well, thanks for staying with me all this time, and at this point, I'm about ready to wind down this particular video. But I just want to say that it took several turns, the visit to India took several turns that I wasn't expecting, not the least of which was going to Pondicherry and discovering that Sri Aurobindo's Auroville was located there. I had heard of it back in the 60s and 70s, but I had never expected to go there. And just to give you a little idea, Sri Aurobindo is very well known in India as a philosopher, a political activist, and eventually a spiritual teacher. He founded a group called Integral Yoga, and it was a yoga technique that is still in operation today. And there are ashrams in India that teach integral yoga. So that's it. I spent 5 weeks there. I enjoyed India very much, and I intend to go back. In fact, not long from now, I'm heading back. I'll be going to Rishikesh next time. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Well, just as a footnote for all of you who were tireless enough to stay with the video for the whole thing, I just want to say in retrospect that back in 2018, visiting India, I was a little bit unsure of myself, and I had a little bit of trepidation going to a country where different languages were spoken, etc., etc. But it turned out to be a lovely experience. English does happen to be one of the the official languages in India. And the people were very friendly. Never did I have a problem traveling alone. I wasn't fearful in the least, and I was treated very well. I think it's a wonderful country. And I'm going back. I'll be back there in just a few months. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and happy trails.
Once more, it has been fun meandering with Grandpa. Please join us again sometime as we meander on yet another journey to another place at another time. Goodbye for now.